Welcome to All About Art. My name is Alexandra, and I'm an art historian, curator, and writer. Within this podcast, topics relating to art history, cultural policy, the art sector, as well as a large range of other art-related topics will be covered. Conducting critical discussions, having entertaining exchanges, or just enjoying some relaxing chats, All About Art is where you'll find it all. Join me in exploring and developing cultural discourse. Within the arts, we are always looking for ways to support artists and create a better environment for creatives to live off of what they create. In this episode, I sat down with Amanda Hannasdotter, founder of Art to Business. We talk about her background in investing and business development, as well as how she came to launch her business. She delves into the results of her market research on why artists have difficulties pursuing their careers as such on a full-time basis. Art to Business has created a community where artists can find collaborative opportunities and help, teach, and support each other. The company connects artists to businesses that, when using Art to Business, save time scouting an artist that suits their projects. If you are an artist and want to know more or even sign up to Art to Business by the end of this episode, Amanda was sweet enough to provide an affiliate link, which I have put in the show notes. That basically means that if you end up signing up, you are not only getting the services of Art to Business, but you are also financially supporting the podcast without any extra cost to you, which is pretty cool if I do say so myself. Anyway, thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing your insights and knowledge. Before I dive in, I wanted to let you lovely listeners know that All About Art is on Patreon. So if you want some behind-the-scenes content, maybe a bit of merch, the chance to get one-on-ones with me and my guests, or you're simply wanting to support this project, I would be absolutely thrilled if you decided to sign up. You can do so through the link in the show notes. I also wanted to say thank you to those who have already signed up. Your support means the world, and it makes the further production, improvement, and growth of the podcast possible. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. And now, on to the interview. Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for being here with me today via Zoom, albeit, but still very happy to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
So just to start off, can you tell me and our lovely listeners a bit about your background, your education, and your early career path? Because I'm aware that it wasn't straight away into the arts, was it?
No, it wasn't. And I actually was sitting at my hotel room last night going through what I wanted to share. So usually I tend to go straight to merits, but I wanted to share some personal touches so you can understand what influenced my decisions in my careers. I worked and studied a lot to get a good job because I thought, like everyone else, in society, especially as millennials, we're taught that if you study and you get a good job, you'll get a good life, right? So from where I came from, top grades and multiple scholarships was what I was aiming for. And I ended up with that and a degree in economics later on. I've studied language and linguistics also, so I speak 6 languages. I graduated on a Friday, and Monday morning, I started my first job with the Swedish police force, where I started my kind of government career. And that ended a few years later in the court system, where I ultimately worked with criminal and civil cases. So that is the ordinary day job career I made.
So that was your early career path and your education. And so how did you end up then coming to found Art to Business? What made you make the leap into founding the initiative, not only into entrepreneurship, because I'm aware that you dove into entrepreneurship before Art to Business, but also kind of you're dipping your toe and then fully diving into the arts.
Relevant to this story is during my time with the government, I invested in and co-founded a company within tech and video game development because I am a huge nerd. And I was working 100% and studying 100% and co-ran this business. So it kind of led to a lower life standard and a burnout for me. The road back from that was very long, but after have run this business, I was head of communication, so I took care of a lot of huge deals and negotiations and just overall made sure the project was running. And I kind of felt like, okay, but I've done the career, I've had the nice jobs, but I don't feel complete somehow. And that's when I started pursuing my love for art and painting. So I started taking orders, painting in the kitchen in my small apartment back then. And then in 2019, I was bought out completely of all of the businesses and investments I had made. I got a divorce, quit my job, and started working full time with my art. So I basically took all of the lessons and experience that I had gained during my years of co-running the other business and incorporated those into the art one. And that worked. So funding art to business came really when the pandemic hit. I just saw artists struggling as art shows and exhibitions got canceled one by one, and they were all terrified with no knowledge or support on how to continue their businesses, and their sources of income that they had been relying on before was just gone. I made an extensive market research with over 1,000 artists, asking them what they needed help with in order to continue or pursue a career within art and design. And it's these answers who finally made me come to the decision like, okay, no one is helping these, no one is providing this. Why wouldn't I? So that's where it started. I have some of the questions and answers, like examples. If you want some statistics, let me know.
Actually, if you do have that, I would absolutely love to hear some.
Yes, of course. I will just be touching on the top 3 answers that I got, like the main reasons why people didn't pursue careers with art. And so the top one, which was 83% of the participants, said the reason they didn't pursue a career was because they needed more support from a community and needed a mentor or a coach to do so. Only 5% said they were totally fine as it was, that there were other reasons that this did not contribute at all. So we started building a business model that included a community group and a network of other professionals and regular coaching sessions. So everything we do in art business is from this market research, the answers from it. The second biggest hindrance was lack of knowledge or ability to, by yourself, obtain and incorporate that knowledge, meaning a lot of artists are sitting with this huge will to work with art, but they don't know really where to start or what to do. They're scared of doing something wrong and wasting time and money into things that doesn't give results. They don't know what gives results, right? They're just shooting in the dark. Which leads us into the third one, which was fear of failure, which is, I think, not unique for artists at all. The leading defense mechanism for fear of failure is not trying at all. So they go hand in hand a little bit, and a lot of self-doubt. So doubting your abilities or doubting your art due to fear of failure. So the coaching came, then the education came, and we worked with this holistic perspective. So the market research was huge help, and it gave us a lot of clues as to what we're missing today for artists, basically.
That's wonderful. And it's honestly really inspiring for me personally as well, or anybody who might be thinking about looking into any type of entrepreneurial endeavors within the arts. It doesn't even have to be a company or starting something like that. It could also be, like with me here with the podcast, it's also just thinking about how do you reach the community more and how do you encourage the arts more if that's what the overall goal is, like improve the art world in some way. I mean, it's such a broad thing, but so can you tell me a little bit more about your interests in business development and investing? Because it's such an important topic. And you mentioned earlier that you had a lot of experience in that earlier on in your career.
So due to my upbringing that wasn't very financially stable, I started to understand that money was the key to a lot of things. So my interest in money as a concept and investments in general started early. So I ran a few businesses, selling flowers, things like that when I was small. And then I kind of learned not just that you could do things like labor and get paid, but you can invest in something and get returns. And I think this was more opened up to me during my studies. I started investing on the stock market when I was 16. I got a scholarship from Swedish Young Shareholders Association as an 18-year-old. And I have continued after that investing in startups with great ideas, Kickstarters, real estate, both here in Sweden and abroad, and more. So when we talk about art to business, I'm really trying to convey this labor wise when we're talking about the work you put in for the results you're getting out, that you are responsible for your own progress. And if you have a clear path, strategy, and some power of action, like you mentioned, you're halfway there. No one is really going to do the work for you, and no one will put together the puzzle for you. It's a little bit discouraging. I don't really say it like that, but that's like the undertone of it. We need to talk and teach business as something that has to do with money, because it is a little hush hush topic. Artists are very uncertain of how to price their art, how to market themselves, or even talk about their art. And we need to start with those basics to even get going.
Absolutely. And that kind of segues right into my next question, because I was going to ask you to tell me about Art to Business's mission and how it changes the landscape for artists and how they approach their careers. And you've kind of already started on that with more financial knowledge, which then leads to more financial action and then financial freedom. So, do you have anything else that you could tell me about Art to Business and its mission?
Yes, our mission really is very simple. It is to give artists more money in their wallets. It's nothing more than that. And the market research gave us the ways we wanted to do it. So we only work with artists who want to make money out of their passion, running their businesses full-time or part-time. So if you just paint for fun or because you feel good about it, etc., art to business isn't really for you. It's a business focused community. So that is why we teach things like sales techniques or email marketing and not painting techniques. It's also why we have the commission request service that we have, where we match companies' needs with artists in art to business so they can get like more commissions, more revenue. And regarding changing the landscape, I think we're straying very, very far away from the like traditional artist path. That includes like getting an art degree, preferably from a school with a good reputation, and then like exhibiting at galleries or teaching, for example. And we're kind of challenging the way art is both collected, used, and consumed by both companies and ordinary people. Whereas at the same time, we're changing the way artists view themselves as artists and the way they create, sell, and live off their art.
So, are you an international company or is your main focus on Sweden?
No, we work internationally, both with companies, and we have members from all the way from Japan to the States, Europe, and Scandinavia. So it's really cool.
That sounds incredibly interesting. And it's amazing that you're so international. And can you tell me, how does this whole process work? So, like, if I were an artist and I would be interested in your services.
Yes, so it's quite easy actually. If you want to join Art to Business, like become a member with us, you can click Alexander's link here in the description and you can register to become a member with your email. It's really that simple. Woo! And then you get instant access to our material. You get a little welcome meeting with me where I just check in with you, see where you are in your path or journey right now, and I answer some relevant questions to get you going. After that, it's just to join in on all of our workshops and coaching sessions that we have live on Zoom every month and start getting some things done. The membership is 39 euros, and I looked it up in British pounds, and it's about 32 British pounds. So you can cancel anytime by yourself, totally hassle free. So if you're an artist and you got a good feeling after this episode, feel free to sign up and reach out if you want to connect more. We have some free open webinars too for non-paying members. With all the workshops we have a team in Art to Business, of course, and we have a really good graphic designer. And he always makes this good guides, like, writing down the questions nicely. We do checklists. So like every workshop, you can print them or just write on them digitally, just to keep you organized, because we're really trying to give go the extra mile, because our market research also tells us that you can't just tell someone to write a business plan and expect them to do it. They need, so what we did with our business plan template is that we asked them questions instead. So they just ask questions, and that's so much more easy. And then you have the framework for your entire business plan, and it's so much more easier to write it. And you have us.
Yeah. Business plans. I had to write one for my master's. And they are so daunting at times because they are so long. And if you're starting off, like, because I had to write the business plan on an existing arts organization. So they had a lot of information and I had a lot of guidance and everything in the master's. So I generally know how to write a business plan and how something like that looks. However, when you are starting a company and you don't know the answers to half of the questions that a business plan inherently asks, but the business plan isn't asking, you know what I mean? Like when you look at the structure of a business plan, it just says projected revenue or things like that. And you're like, what the? And you don't know, because you don't know how to break it down. You don't know what in-kind support is. You don't know where you're going to be. Like you have to be able to answer certain questions, but there's a difference between just looking at the normal structure of a business plan and actually thinking about launching a business. But if I were a company looking to hire you, because I know that you service both sides, what is your process in building a suitable proposal for them and involving the artists? Because I bet that that's a really interesting process, like aligning the company's values and those of the artists that you support.
Yes. Okay, first, I just want to chime in with the business plan.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, sorry. It's just a continuous thing that I thought about when you were talking about your experience. Like, I have both the experience of writing my own business plans and running my businesses, but I also have invested in businesses, meaning I've heard tons of pitches for startups looking for funding, etc. So, and I've read a few business plans too. So it's very easy for me to go through a business plan and see what's relevant or not, or what we need more information about or not. And I think that's really helpful for the artists, because I can just tell them, like, this part is really good. I want you to like go deeper into this and explain more about it. Whereas this part is not necessary. You can take it out, right? Things like that, like the personal support you don't really get. So I think that is a huge asset. And I also wanted to mention, speaking about art to business, we are lacking artists within certain fields like botanical and resin art, but also graphic and web design. So if you do this and are listening, get in touch, because we have a lot of requests from companies and clients to us that we have to decline at the moment because we don't have enough artists to fill the requests with. And with art to business, one of the strengths when we work with companies is that they know that they get matched with the exact right competence, the right person. They don't have to spend tons of time and money going into their own recruitment, for example. But if a company comes to hire us, you asked about the process, right? So when we get a request, we always set up a digital meeting to go through the request in greater detail. And when the request has been made and we know that we can put it together, we usually assemble a timeline for the project for the clients and a team of creatives who can execute the company's ideas. So the process runs very smoothly, from regular updates to set advisory hours to explanations and how-tos after we hand the project over. As a client with us, you always get one or more tailored offers from us to choose between, which is, of course, based on the things you asked for during the initial meeting. So the whole process is usually free of worries and full of excitement, I would say. You don't have to go to one agency to get a website and then to another one to decorate your office and say, like, I would like these colors, because we can bring it all together like in one day. So not one day like with the website, but you get what I mean with the delivery.
Yeah, kind of like the concept and like
Yes.
building the entire idea, which is really a huge, huge, huge feat. That is something, and to make it feel right and to make it, because that business identity or that feeling that goes beyond just pure services or language or writing, it is very, very important though when it comes to starting a business.
Yeah, branding is really key because it makes you stand out, makes people remember you and come back. And we are teaching this to our artists too. But just, I think for our company clients, it's just overall super nice to shoot someone an email and know you'll get a delivery 2 weeks later and everything is just done. You know, most of our clients are recurring clients now too, because we've been going for a while, which is lovely to see. So we do deliver, and it's not us. The credit is not on us. We're making it happen, you know, by being the project leaders and doing this. But the real MVPs here are the artists, because they are actually executing the requests we're getting. And it's a win-win, because they get revenue, we get revenue, the client get their work done. It's great.
Because you're speaking about the artists, you are an artist yourself. And that was something that you mentioned earlier on in the podcast. And because we're coming up to the end of the podcast, and this is my penultimate question, can you please tell me a bit more about your own artistic practice?
Sure, why not? Shortly, I paint mainly traditionally nowadays. I do digital art too, but I focus on abstract acrylic art and specialize in fluid art. Just, it's an overall mesmerizing techniques, or a bunch of techniques actually. And I love movement in art in general, whether it's a person moving or falling, or if it's abstraction that feels like moving. Then I still do a few prints and take a few custom requests within other techniques, because I've done everything from like realism to fan art and a lot of things during my artistic journey, like many have. But yeah, I'd say I specialize in fluid art.
That sounds wonderful. I hope that you get some time to practice your art, or do you feel like your focus is very much on your entrepreneurial endeavor at the moment? Or is it, are you good at balancing both? I definitely think that, you know, some people are really, really good at that. And some people say, oh, like, you know, I stopped doing this because I focus more on this at the moment, but it's an ebb and it's a flow in life.
Yeah. Uh, it's a it's a really relevant question, especially for your listeners, I think, because I get this question a lot. Like, but if I start a business around my art, I won't, you know, feel inspired to work, and it will just be work. And to me, it's just the opposite, because to me, the entrepreneurial side is the marketing, the planning, the networking, the community, and the painting side. It's so small, unfortunately. 95% of your time will not go to painting when you run an art business. So there is a little time. I try to keep it once a week, but nowadays it's not even that. So since it's so rare for me to actually paint now, I still keep the joy. I've never lost that. So it's not an issue regarding the workload. I don't think anyone should compare themselves to me, because ask anyone around me and they will say I have no balance. So yeah, I thought I would work less as an entrepreneur, skipping the 9 to 5, but I work 24/7 instead.
You
But
thought
it's
you
so
would work less as an entrepreneur?
Yes, I was like, in the beginning I was like, I'll just set up a good business and it will run itself, and I will have some employees and they will do the work for me and I will still get paid, right? But a few years
Super
in,
realistic. maybe in like 10 to 15 years, but like
yes, we're talking about a 19-year-old here. By the way, I'm not 19 now, but like that was my thought when I was, I think, 19 when I started my first company. So
yeah. Yeah.
later on I've learned, of course. So but it doesn't have to be like that. And as I mentioned, we're focusing on the holistic perspective, like focusing on you as a business owner, because the balance that you need in order to be stable and like not necessarily calm, but like focused, right? And goal orientated. You need that to run your business smoothly. So we're focusing a lot about that with like mindset workshops. We have some self-love letters we send to members to give them a little mindset boost and, stuff like that. So, but yes, I can't live like I learn. I still have a long way to go with the balance myself.
Yeah. But I think when you said no one should compare themselves to you because you don't really have that much of a balance, I think that's why you and I get along. I think you and I really we vibe on that, because it is, when you get passionate about something though, it doesn't feel like you're just constantly grinding and all you're doing is working. It feels empowering. And I think that that's the good thing, is that just because you may not have as much time to actually practice your art, that doesn't mean that you're not doing something that's incredibly fulfilling for you.
No, not at all. Like I do create, and like it's exactly like you say, that when we as people find everything so extremely inspiring and fun, because that's most of the time for me, we jump on projects. Like that's my life. And it is fun. It gives another kind of life quality where you always feel engaged and like interested and alive, because I was, back in the days in my governmental job, I was depressed and I was burned out for a while. And it was really, really rough getting back to that. So I've seen both sides of life, I would say. So
yeah, sometimes you just, life throws you curveballs. And when you learn how to adapt, you find the thing that really makes you happy.
Yeah. And when you do, like when you work with art, it's your passion. It doesn't feel as work. You cope with it so much better when you feel good about yourself and what you do. It's completely different. So the hours doesn't really count on the same scale.
Absolutely. And I have one final question. It's a bit of a fun one. If you could pick one artist from art history to have dinner with, who would it be?
Maybe I'd pick Frida Kahlo, because not only is her art and artistic development interesting to me, but she also seemed to be heck of a handful of a woman. And it would have been really cool to hear more about what made her tick and overall her relationships and how they were with others. But I don't know really if it counts as that much of a history, because it's quite a recent person, if you know what I mean.
I think it does. It definitely counts as art history. Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Amanda, I am going to bring this podcast to a close, but thank you so much for coming on and speaking with me. It was an absolute joy. I think that what you've shared has been incredibly insightful and really informational. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely. I've loved connecting with you, and you just we vibe so well. So I'm really happy that it's you that I'm guesting.
Oh, thank you. And that is it for today on All About Art. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a rating or a review, as it helps more people discover the show. Also, feel free to share with your friends, or if you share on social media, tag me and get in touch. Thank you so much for listening.